In this tutorial, I'm going to show you some simple but very effective tricks that will help make your drop sound much more powerful. If this is your first time here and you want to learn all about FL Studio and music production in general, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell as well. The drop is supposed to be the most powerful part of your track. Unfortunately, this is something a lot of people get wrong. Most music starts out with a low energy state before transitioning into a higher energy state. As it does so, tension is created, and when the high energy state is finally reached, all that built-up tension will be resolved. This pleases the ear. Most tracks tend to follow these basic rules when it comes to energy, as well as tension and release. It always goes from low to high energy and then repeats. It sounds simple, but it's actually a delicate balance of many things that need to be just right for this to work properly. You need the right amount of tension at the right time, as well as the right combination of sounds, levels, and so on. One of the most common mistakes I see during my feedback sessions is that there's not enough difference between the breakdown and the drop in terms of dynamics. The breakdown is supposed to be a low energy section, and during this part, you want to break the track down to its bare minimum by removing the most powerful elements. That's why it's called breakdown. This will allow the listener to catch their breath a bit before you start building up towards the drop again. Unfortunately, due to the loudness war, the breakdown often ends up being just as energetic as the drop. Well, when that happens, the drop will lose its impact. You can tell a lot about a track by just looking at the waveform. This is the breakdown part, and here's the drop. Notice how the dynamic range is not significantly reduced during the breakdown. The track is quite squashed and there's no distinct low energy part here. It all looks just like a wall of sound from start to finish, and there's not really any distinction between low or high energy. Here's what it should look like. As you can see, there's a clear separation between the low and high energy sections here, even though the track is compressed. When you use a lot of pads and similar elements in the breakdown, and the track is heavily compressed and limited during mastering, those sounds will tend to sound huge. Oftentimes, the track actually seems to lose energy when the drop comes back in after the breakdown, because it goes from massive sustained sounds to having everything sidechained to the kick. For this reason, it's important that you make sure that the combined levels of the breakdown are quieter than the main drop. The best way to deal with this is to use automation to control the levels. As you can see in this example, there's volume automation on a lot of elements to ensure that they stay quieter during the breakdown. I don't recommend automating the mixer fader itself. It seems a lot of people are doing this. You want to be able to adjust the volume here, so it's much better to automate this knob instead, because now you can adjust the fader volume even though the automation is in place. The fader won't keep resetting. Another thing you can do is use automation on your master channel. Most DAWs have some kind of gain plugin that you can use. In FL Studio, we can use the Fruity Balance plugin. Keep it on the first FX slot and then automate the volume like this. Click here and then here. A few percent will usually be enough, especially if you do this in combination with automation of individual elements. If you feel like the volume automation alone isn't quite doing the trick, then you can also load an EQ on the master and use a low cut to take out some of the low end during the build towards the drop. This will make the drop sound much more impactful when it comes back after the breakdown, as you now have more volume and more low end combined. Note that even if you do this, the mastering process will tend to pull everything back up, so it's a good idea to put a temporary limiter on your master and push up the levels so that you can sort of simulate how it will sound when mastered. That way you can ensure that the energy level remains healthy even after mastering. And last but not least, I recommend that you always drag the track back into your DAW after exporting it to visually check the waveform. If it looks something like this, then you're good. This means that you have a healthy relationship in terms of dynamic range between the breakdown and the drop. If it looks like this, well, then there's a good chance that your breakdown isn't dynamic enough. I hope this was helpful. I'd like to thank our Patreons for their ongoing support, and as always, if there's any specific tutorial you'd like us to make, or if you have a question, just let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure to check out the links below if you need feedback on your music, mixing, mastering, and so on. Thanks for watching.